This video, what we want to cover is the dimensioning of Lab 1. So I'm going to start over in this front view. And again, you need to be in the annotate ribbon, which is across the top here. We started with the home, and we'll go to annotate, and then we'll go to dimension. So on the dimensions, note there are several different types of dimensions. Linear, then there's aligned, and we'll see those, and then angular, then we've got arc length, radius, so we need to do radial dimensions, diameter dimension, jog, and ordinate. We probably won't be dealing with those two in this class. But the first one we start out with is with linear, and those are for horizontal and vertical dimensions. But before we do that, I guess I need to talk about setting this thing up so we can get some good spacing. Note, most everything is lined up, and even between views, note that this aligns with this piece right here. And likewise down on the bottom, if we look at this dimension, it lines up with this one, and then this one will line up with any other dimensions. Well, we don't have any down here, but it's best to keep those things aligned. So as we keep that in mind, what we want to do is we can set up our grid and snap to take care of that issue. So we can go here to the grid, and you can right click and hit settings, and here's the snap. Okay, now note the snap is set at a 1/2 inch by default, and we really want to set that snap at 375. That's 3/8 of an inch. If you set the snap on the x-axis, then and click onto the y, then it will follow suit. Then on the grid, we want to change that to 0.75, and the reason we want to change that to twice as big as the other one is when we turn the grid on, we don't need to see 3/8 of an inch. If we did, in fact, I'll go ahead and set that up so you can see it. If we go to 3/8, that could be way too busy for what we're trying to accomplish. So there's really no need to show all of that. We'll just show the 3/4. But the reason I set those up to those two numbers, it's nice to have the 3/8 of an inch, the spacing in between if we want, but all of our grid and our spacing will be set at 3/4. So all of these dimensions are at least 3/4 of an inch away from the object, and then they're each 3/4 of an inch away from the other dimension. And part of that is because when you start putting tolerance values on those, then it gets pretty busy if you don't have that wider spacing. So that's what we'll go with there. So it's set up now. Now we'll have to turn the snap on and off at our when we need to use it. You don't want it on when you're creating a dimension, because it won't necessarily snap to the end of the line. So I'm going to put this one out there, and if I turn the snap on now, I'll go out two sets of grid and go ahead and snap that. Now I'll turn my snap back off, and I'll do another dimension, and there's one that goes from here to here, and we'll turn the snap back on, and note it'll only snap to every 3/8 of an inch. So we'll go with that one. And it looks like I don't have my standard set properly. So let's go back, and I'm on the regular standard. So I need to go to Dave's standard and set that as the current. And now what we'll have to do to these two is, and now notice if we put another dimension in, and we go to here, now notice that's only 3 decimal places. Also, I want to turn that snap off. But it's 3 decimal places, so we're good there. Now what I would do then probably is do a match properties, and there's my match properties, and I'll hit this one, and I'll hit these two, and that takes care of that. So now these are attached to the same standard as these two. So now While we look at that, that says 438 and the drawing says 4375. So if I click on that and right click to get the properties, if we go here to the primary units, now that may not show up. It may show all these different things expanded. Okay, and we don't need those. We just need to go to the primary units and set the precision to 4 decimal places. And what I like is it does show you what's going to happen. It gives you a preview. So I click on that, hit the escape key. Now here's a case where normally if you pick this, if you were using an old style plotter, you would want to get rid of this extension line. We talked about the suppression earlier. Okay, well that's under the lines and arrows, and if we did an extension line, let's see, right here it's on, and actually I think that was the second one that I did, and whoops, it wasn't. So we'll leave it on and we'll go back to the first one, and then we would have turned that off, and you can see it when you get it gripped that that's now off. Now I'm not suggesting that you have to do that because the printers we use now won't have that extra line, but just in case you had to, that's an option. Now this particular line, this dimension doesn't look exactly like the one on the drawing because my text is a little bit bigger, so it's not going to fit inside. Or what I might be able to do is go to my dimension style, modify that, and let's see, it would be, is it under text? Let's see, let's try that. I think if we make that 0.08, let's see what happens. Hit OK, set current, close, and it's still there, so we'll have to, there was actually another area that I think would work best, and that was under the, was it to fit? Nope. Primary units, trying to think of where that was. Under the lines maybe? Nope. It might be this break size right here. Let's set that at just 0.1, see if that'll make a change for us. Still not doing it. It's just too big, and I guess the only other thing would be to change the text potentially. Let's go back to the text height. Let's make that 15625 is what normally would be, and there you can see it fits inside now, so that might look a little cleaner anyway. Okay, we got another dimension to put in here from here to here, and we'll turn on our snap. Said we would. Oh, I got the wrong keystroke, sorry. Okay, and then we'll turn the snap back off. That's the F9 function key on your keyboard. I also have Ortho on, and I don't need that on. Okay, then we've got, and this dimension, if you wanted to, you could bring this up and bring it out, but it's going to go to the right. It's not going to go to the left like it does in this drawing. This drawing on the left was created in Inventor, and you can move it either way. With AutoCAD, you either go to the right from here or to the left here. So I'm going to try to get that back. I think that'll work just as well right there. Okay, then we've got another dimension for the overall height or distance. Again, turn on the snap. There's my 3/4 of an inch. I'll turn the snap back off. And we've got 4 decimal places here. So again, if I type in MA for match properties, I want this one, and I want this one to look like it. So this is really handy when you're dimensioning, that match properties. The only other thing I've got in this view is this this dimension right here. Now what I would say about that dimension too is note that that is coming off of hidden features, and as a general rule that is not a good thing to do. The ruling is that unless you can't get away from it, you should not dimension to hidden features, and this is a hidden feature here. But we are going to do that on this particular application. So we need to go from here, and we want to go to this endpoint. Now be careful. Don't let it snap perpendicular or something like that, because what happens is, and you can see this, note the extension line goes all the way through and does not leave a gap there. It's supposed to leave a gap. So we need to make sure that that gap is taken care of. So what you can do is you can click that grip and move it out to the end and then hit escape, and you'll see that there is a gap. I will watch for that when you're doing these projects, so be careful. Well, let's see, we want to move this text up. Now I'm going to go across, and when you're using Inventor, if you go across there, it will line that up. And we'll just get close based on our grid. Hit escape. And again, that's going to have to be 4 decimal places. So we could go ahead and do a match properties. And we'll pick this one and that one. And notice, oh, and I've got my extension line. First one was on this original piece, the first extension line was suppressed, so I'm going to have to go back to the properties and turn that back on. So now we've got it back, and note that it did move that over a little bit, so you have to be careful there. But if we double click that text, now we can go and hit the home key and type in 2, turn on my caps lock, X space, and then just click off of that. And that moved it in a little bit more. So we're going to move this out just so we get it close to that 3/4 of an inch spacing there. Okay, and then I'm going to hit the save button. I've done enough there that's worth saving. Now we may be running close on this other view. So what I would probably do is I might want to move this over. So, let's see. Let's just plan on moving this. This right here. We'll get this grip. Hit the space bar one time. Okay, now if we turn our snap back on, now it's going to go straight across, and it'll snap to one of the snap places. Whoops, sorry, we got the end point there. I need to turn off my object snaps just for a minute and snap over here and hit escape. I'll turn my object snaps back on, turn my snap back off. Okay, so we've got some room there. We're going to, actually I probably need more than that the way it looks, because I'm going to put this angle dimension in. So I'll hit that grip again, hit the space bar to move it, turn the snap back on, and notice it's going to the end point, so I need to turn my object snaps off. That looks like a good spot. I'll hit escape, turn my object snaps back on, and my snap for the grid back off. Okay, so now we've got some more dimensions over here, and we've got these horizontal here, and then we've got angular dimensions. So let's go ahead and do our horizontal. So we might go from let's see. Now according to what we're doing here, notice there's no gap there. There really should be. So I would go from, if I were doing this, I'd go from this endpoint to that endpoint. Turn my snap back on so that it's lined up now across there. Turn my snap back off. Do another dimension from. Now be careful, because it will let you snap to the ends of the dimension, and then you wouldn't have a gap. So we'll do that. We'll turn the snap function back on and go right there. Notice this one's just a little bit off, so we'll move that up just a shade. Okay, so that looks pretty stinking good there. Alright, I'll hit the save button. Now the next 2 dimensions we want, and I'll put this on the other side, it really doesn't matter here. The next 2 dimensions are angular dimensions. Oh, and I still have to get the overall length, don't I? So let's get that overall length, or depth actually is what that is. Also note, yeah, we want to go from endpoint to endpoint. Turn the snap back on, and there's our spacing of 3/4 of an inch. Snap back off. Okay, and now we'll go to the angular dimension. And an aligned dimension, if we were looking at an aligned dimension, if we went like this, see how they're aligned now? So it has to, the dimension line itself, where my crosshairs are, has to be parallel to the 2 points that I picked. But we don't need that right now, maybe later. Here's an angular dimension. Now on an angular dimension, notice down at the bottom it says select the arc, circle, line, or vertex. Well, we want this line right here and this line right here to put the angle between. Depending on where you put your text, you'll get different outcomes. Okay, so we want to put ours out here, and I'm just going to basically eyeball this one. I don't have to have my snap turned on. I'll do another one from this line to this line, and that looks pretty good right there. Okay, those are in pretty good shape there. I don't think we need to do anything there. But what I will do is take this dimension and move it up and turn my snap back on and put that up like that. So we've got the room we need, the spacing. We've got more than our 3/4 of an inch, but it was better to get that spacing up there. The only other thing maybe is we might be able, yeah, we could put it down here. And then what I would do is take that, I turn my snap off and turn my ortho on so that it has to only go horizontal. So I'm not changing my spacing for the 3/4 inch. And I like that, and I'll hit escape. So that's another option you can do. And if we do that option, you could actually move this one down. But that looks pretty good there. And again, we want to make sure we can see the object is the key here. Well, let's see. If we look at the rest of this drawing, it looks like we're only going to need one here, but we don't have enough room here. So let's plan on moving this stuff, this grip. We want to turn the snap on. Oh, better hit the space bar one time, right? Got our snap on. Let's turn the O snaps off. And I think if I put it right there, we should be fine. But that lines this bit up with the grid. Okay, so now we'll hit escape, and that's all good. So now we're going to go in there and put in our linear dimension from. Now be careful here to the. Oh, we need to change our settings. We want the endpoint center, and we don't need perpendicular. If we go to here, notice that put the, I'm just going to put that in there, that put that in all the way to the center. Well, when we do a radial or a diameter dimension, the way we've got this set up, notice, and I'm just going to put that there for now, notice there is no center mark. But what we're going to do on this individual piece is we're going to get this and change the properties. And we do want a center mark, and we actually want a center mark of a line on this one. We also need to change that to the precision is set to 4 decimal places. So we get the 03125. And notice we've got the center mark now. We should have a line. Let's see, why don't we have a line? Let's right click on that again. I'm pretty sure we changed that to line, did we not? Yeah, we put it on line. If it's on mark, it's just going to do the same thing. But we should be able to, and some of that's based on the hole, or where we put our. Okay, so when we did a mark on that, notice we didn't get the extra lines that we wanted, And normally you can click on that and drag them out, but that's not the case in this one. So what we're going to do is we're going to dimension that again, and we're going to the outermost circle before we went to the innermost circle. And notice that's got a different number. Okay, and I wondered why that looked wrong all along, but that should be 0.375. So let's go in there and click on that circle. I must have fat fingered the 7. Didn't get it. Okay, and notice that automatically changed the diameter. So we can just click on that, and it is interactive. It's associative. So now we'll right click on that and change the properties, and we want the center mark, but we want a line. And this time notice you get the crosshairs. Also note that because we went to the center, this line doesn't give us our gap that we normally would want. So we're going to have to take this piece, grab that grip, and move it out. Now we'll do it, just move it out to there, and that gives us our gap all the way around. I'm not sure I like that overshoot. I'd rather have a little bit more overshoot. So let's go back to the dimension style, Dave's, and we'll go to the was that under the lines? We want, and let's see, that should actually be in the symbols and arrows, I think. There used to be an overshoot. If we had a line here, it's at 90 thousandths. We would probably want 0.2 at least. Okay, now I'm going to save that, but then I'm going to go back and modify it and turn that back to none. And set that to current and close. And then I'm going to go back and dimension this again. Let's see what it does. Again, go to the outermost one. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and place this where it needs to be placed now. So I'll turn on my snap, and I'm going to put it right there. Okay, now I'm going to right click on that. Whoops, click on it, right click, properties. I do want it to be, and there's the center mark size. I didn't see that before. Let's see. We want that to be line, and we want that to be, let's make that 0.2. Did not see that before. Now that's the actual center mark, so we really don't want that to be 0.2. 0.09 is good, and watch what happens right here when we click that off. Yeah, we don't want that to be too big. There's the extension line. Yeah, I think we better leave that well enough alone. Okay, so now there's our center mark. And I think we'll just leave well enough alone for now. Let's see. So we're good there. We're good on that. Now we do have to write that text has to be totally different, doesn't it? If we look at that text, it says 3/816. So we just click on that. Actually, we can double click it and just type that in. 3/8 -16 UNC -2B, and delete the other text. And that's how you put that in. Now we're going to hit the save button. This needs to be 4 decimal places, doesn't it? And I have to be careful because there is a place, there's a place here where we can do that easy enough. You can go up here. Notice you can change the dimension style, but more importantly, with this we can go 4 decimal places. And we can do that much quicker than going back and doing the properties change. So that was just a click on it, right click, and there's your precision. So easy enough. Okay, after that there's another dimension right here, and that's a linear dimension from this endpoint. And I need to turn my snap off now to this endpoint. Turn my snap back on, and we'll put that like so, and that could go to either side. Now once I get that in, I can click that and move this over to the other side if you choose to. Again, click, right click, precision needs to be 4 on that. So that's good on that. Now we do have a gap here. So if what we might want to do on that is click that and get that grip, turn the snap off, and snap to the other end of this line right there. And notice there's no gap there now. And that's really how it should be. Okay, now we'll go back in here. Now what we want to do is, remember I told you not to worry about putting the center marks in because there are some in here. And they're hiding. So if we go here and hit the triangle next to dimension, and there's your center mark. Now it's going to put one right there, but the problem is we've got our center marks set to no center marks. So let's go back to the standard. It won't, let me back up here just a second. So if we go to the center mark, it's trying to put one in, but notice it says it's invalid down here. It's turned off. We turned it off on purpose. So we have to go back here and put that to line. Hit OK. Hit OK, set the current and close. Now when we do our center mark, and be careful, you need to pick the outermost center mark you can pick. And if you don't, here's what happens. See how small it is? It doesn't overshoot near enough. So that's the difference. So again, center mark, pick the outermost, repeat the command. Okay. Now in Inventor, and we can do it here, notice these are all separate lines now. It puts them in as a series of lines, but what we want to do is we want to take this line and grab it and go over to the other end of that line. That extends that through, and that we're allowed to do that. And if we don't do that, if we don't extend that through, then we would have to put 2 times right here. It happens here and it happens here. But since we extend the line all the way through, then it's understood that these are on the same line, if you will. The only thing I want to do though is I want to make sure I go back here, put a window around that, and delete that line. Now what you could do, if you wanted to, you could delete both of these and do a copy, which is CO. Copy this line. How about from the center here to the center there? Save you a little bit of extra effort. Okay, then we've got a linear dimension to put from this endpoint to this endpoint. Turn your snap back on. There's your 3/4 inch spacing. Now, according to the drawing, we've got to put another one in, so we're going to take this, move it over to the other side. Note we don't have that gap, or we have that gap there we don't need, so we'll actually, I need to turn my snap off, put it up there, and the gap's gone. So we'll do another dimension, and actually you could go from this endpoint to this endpoint, and that'd take care of that gap. Turn on the snap. There's that. Okay, click, right click. Precision on that needs to be 4, doesn't it? Hit the save button. Takes care of that. There's another dimension here. Now this time, instead of a diameter dimension, we're going to use the radial dimension. And we got to turn the snap off because it won't allow us to get to it. Turn the snap back on. Now they're lined up. Now we need to put the 4 times in front of that. Again, you can just double click it. 4 capital X space. That takes care of that. I'm going to turn the snap back off. Okay, and then we've got 2 more dimensions here plus this diameter. Let's go ahead and do the diameter. So we'll do a diameter dimension. Pick this hole. And we'll turn the snap back on. And that looks pretty good right there. Turn the snap off. Again, we'll double click. Well, first we want to click it, right click, and change the precision to 4, right? Then we'll double click it. It's already at the front, so we'll say 4x space. Hit the end button on your keyboard. Takes it out to the end, and then type in through. Better hit a space in there, it looks like. Click, and that's in there. Hit the save button again. Looks like I've got 2 more. So that's the difference between the radius and the diameter. Radius is an arc, diameter is a full circle. 2 more to put in here. Those are our linear dimensions. So we'll go from this endpoint to that endpoint. How about? Okay, turn on the snap function again. Okay, and we'll get that in there. Let's see, we need to do that right away. So let's turn off the snap. Okay, and we're going to put it inside like so. Okay, and then we'll turn off the M.0 snap and turn on the ortho function again. Oops, there it is. And we'll just go straight down, and actually look, you can see that'll fit inside, so that's good. We'll turn off the ortho, turn the snap back on, and we also want to click on that, right click, and do to precision. Okay, again hit the save button. Dimension, I want to dimension again from this endpoint to this endpoint, so I don't have to worry about my gap. Turn on the snap, go there, and notice those 2 are all lined up nice and neat. Hit the save button, double click, and I believe I've got everything dimensioned for this particular drawing. Now the only other thing I guess would be if you chose to also note that this now has a center mark. So that does, what I would do on that is click on that and change, let's see, can we, yeah, I want to go do a properties on that and turn the center mark off on that particular one. None. And now it doesn't have one. And then I want to turn this one off. That's what I should have done in the first place when I set my properties on the dimension styles. Turn this one off. So you turn them off individually for whatever the need arises, and then you just don't have any overlap there. And that one's set up, but that's fine on that one. We don't need to mess with that one at all. Now the only other thing that you might choose to do is you might choose to put these lines on the center line layer. Well, actually no, I'm sorry, we did. Well, no, those were actually on the dimension layer, weren't they? Well, what's nice about this is we can go then and freeze the hidden lines, and for that matter the hidden and visible, I'm sorry, I put that backwards, and we can go in there and put these on the center line layer, so we could turn those on or off to whatever we need. And actually I think there might be some lines, yeah, I missed those. I want those to go to the center line layer. I can't do this because it's attached to the dimension. And do we have any? We do have some down here. I don't know if I got those or not. Yeah, I need to get them. Center lines. So now if I click on them, they go to center lines. Now if you click multiple objects, that line will go blank because you've got 2 different layers there. Okay, so we'll go back and thaw out the hidden and visible. And we'll hit the save button. And this drawing, I believe, is done. So this is done for now. Now later on we'll go in and we can actually put it over on the layout. And you can see it there, but we have some work to do to that first. Okay, so let's see, we'll go back to model. And we'll close this drawing, and that's all we need for this particular video.